Hello everyone, it's Sandra and welcome to today's video. Today I thought it'd be fun to have a little swatch party, take a little inventory of all my blushes. I am at maximum capacity with blush and it's really hard for me to let go. I love them all, but I just have too much blush and I feel like I should know better because anytime I've had a blush in my project pan, it has taken me multiple years to use up that single blush. If I can edit it down just a little bit, that would be wonderful. If you like watching these types of videos, I highly recommend watching Hannah Louise Poston's channel. She recently did like a very intense decluttering series. I'm not going to go as hard as she did, but I am going to kind of go through my blushes more thoughtfully, swatch them all, and keep them, give them away to friends and family if they're still good, if it's something that is still, good, doesn't smell weird, something I can sanitize. And then the other category will be on probation. And what the on probation category means is that in the next few weeks, I'm going to just use the blush and essentially make up my mind, sit back, relax, and let's get started. I store my blushes in that white little IKEA cabinet that you see behind me. I did a makeup collection tour video, I think last year, either last year or the year before that. So my storage system has not changed. It's still the same. I will link that video if you haven't seen it, if you want to see it. I just have the good old Muji acrylic containers, and I have my blushes in 3 drawers, and I separate them kind of by color type, kind of. So the first drawer is neutral blushes that I know kind of work with any lip color. They kind of work with any look, my go-to drawer. Then I have the blushes that are a bit more punchy. They're a bit more colorful. And then the last drawer, which is the drawer that I'm most ashamed of, is the cream drawer. Creams don't last as long as powders. So the fact that I have this many cream blushes that are open, it really gives me like anxiety because I know I'm not going to be able to use these up by the time they go bad. So this is the one particular drawer where I'm really hoping to kind of do some editing. Let's get started with the first drawer, and that is the neutral drawer. I have good old Charlotte Tilbury First Love blush, which is on the chopping block because I don't reach for it anymore. I don't reach for it anymore. When I'm in the mood for this kind of blush, I have other blushes that I reach for over it. Then we have good old faithful Marc Jacobs Flesh and Fantasy. This was like an emotional thing that I'm hanging on to because I have loved this blush for so many years. It is so beautiful. Marc Jacobs Beauty doesn't exist anymore, but I rarely reach for it now. Then we have a more recent favorite, which is something that I think I bought it last year and I love it. It's McGrath Fleurtatious. This is kind of overtaken Charlotte Tilbury First Love and the Marc Jacobs Flesh and Fantasy when I'm in the mood for like a soft, barely there, neutral, mauvey pink kind of cheek situation. That's what I've been reaching for. I absolutely love this formula. This is a more recent addition to my collection, and I have really loved using this, particularly in the fall and winter. The Buxom Wanderlust blush in the shade Dolly. It's really nicely pigmented. It's easy to blend out. It lasts really well on my cheeks, and I've been loving it. It's really interesting. It almost looks more cool toned in the pan, but on my cheeks, it kind of pulls a little bit warmer. Obviously, I'm swatching these for you. I'm swatching all of the blushes on, on the palest part of my arm. And while swatches are useful, especially when it comes to kind of seeing the differences and kind of gauging differences in between blush colors themselves, swatches are not always going to be a true representation of what a blush will look like on the cheeks. And depending on your coloring, depending on your cheek situation, some can pull a bit cooler, some can pull a bit warmer, depending on your skin tone. And I found that with me, in particular with my skin tone, on my cheeks, I have some hyperpigmentation from, old acne scars. Sometimes I have a bit of redness, and that can play a part in how a blush will perform. And also in the season, if I'm fake tanning or if I get a little bit of a natural tan from the sun, that will affect how a blush performs on me. So I like to have a variety of options to choose from because I know that certain colors tend to look better on me in certain seasons. Then we have Laura Mercier Fresco, which is a holy grail blush for me. It's still something that I reach for constantly. And this is when I'm in the mood for something neutral, but that leans a little bit warm. It has this beautiful sheen running through it, and it's just such a flattering cheek color. No matter the season, no matter the lip color that I'm wearing, this is just the blush that always delivers. Next, I have Hermes Rose Tan, and this is another one of my favorite blushes. I am particularly drawn to this blush in the summertime. It just gives me that perfect, soft, sun-kissed, warm look to my skin. It's a matte blush. It's got like a satin to matte finish. It's really, really easy. It's easy to blend. It's just like this beautiful sheer whisper of color that can be built up. It lasts a good amount of time on my cheeks as well. I actually don't have an issue with blush lasting on my cheeks. Like, I find that most of these blushes last through an entire workday. Some of them fade a little bit more than others, but I always still have blush on my cheeks at the end of the day. And I definitely find that a setting spray like the Charlotte Tilbury helps keep my blush pigment on for longer. For the maximum longevity, if I have a really, really long day and if I just want to make sure I keep my blush color as punchy as possible, for me, the key to success has been layering a cream blush with a powder on top. Whenever I do that, that's like a bulletproof cheek combo for me. Back to Hermes Rose Tan. This is a favorite. This blush formula has a little bit of a floral scent. It's something that's very common, especially when it comes to like French luxury beauty brands. They seem to think that we want our face to smell like flowers at all times. So just a word of warning. If anything has a scent, I will mention it. So far, this has been the only scented blush. I think this is the only scented blush that I have. No, I have one more. These are refillable, which is nice. And big fan of this blush. For sure, I am keeping Laura Mercier Fresco. That's no question. It's such a favorite. Then I'm keeping Pat McGrath Fleurtatious. This is such a go-to for me. Also keeping Buxom Dolly. It's been a really nice, punchy, but still neutral kind of blush that I've just been really loving using in the fall and winter. And keeping Hermes Rose Tan. I think I'm letting go of both of these. The funny thing is that they actually look almost identical on my cheeks. I did, one day I wore one on one cheek and one on the other, and they looked exactly the same. They're very similar. So maybe if you were a hardcore Marc Jacobs Flesh and Fantasy fan and you used it up, or, you know, these are quite prone to breaking. So maybe if you broke yours and you kind of really miss having it in your life, check out Charlotte Tilbury First Love. But watch, I'm going to put it on my cheeks tomorrow just for old time's sake, and I'm going to fall in love with it and probably end up keeping it. Why is this so difficult? And you see, this is why I don't do declutter videos regularly, because I overthink everything. Would you keep this even though in practice you haven't touched it in 2 years because you've discovered formulas that you like a little bit better? Moving on to drawer number 2. This is where I house my punchier blush colors. Starting out with Charlotte Tilbury Ecstasy. This is a really pretty peach color. This is Laura Mercier Peach, which is a beautiful, brighter peach color. This is a peachy blush that I reach for in the summer. It's beautiful, it's bright, and it looks great with either fake tan or like a natural tan on the face. I do try not to get any sun on my face anymore, so anytime I do have some sort of tan on my face, it's 9 times out of 10, it's fake. This is Pat McGrath Nymphette. I absolutely love this. It's a beautiful pink, and it's got a bit of warmth to it. It's kind of like what NARS Deep Throat used to do. Remember NARS Deep Throat blush? This is kind of like a more refined, elevated version of that. I think if you really liked the NARS Deep Throat blush color, you would really enjoy this too. I don't think you can get this at Sephora. I think this is a Pat McGrath website exclusive shade. It has the most refined, gorgeous sheen running through it. It's really, really flattering. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous pink. The next pink blush is a blush that I've been loving lately. I have been wearing this all the time. It layers so beautifully with my cream blushes, so that's kind of how I wear it most of the time. And it really grew on me, and it's a Chantecaille blush from their philanthropy collection. Profits go towards helping an endangered species, and this is the Wild Horses blush. It's called Joy, and it's the most gorgeous, slightly cooler toned bright pink. Now, the thing about these blushes, when you first get them, they do have a like a glitter overlay. So once you kind of move past that, the formula itself is like a satin matte formula, and I absolutely love this. This is also refillable packaging, which is nice. It's really small and lightweight, really great for travel. And I've just been loving this blush color. The formula is so good. It's so silky, it's so luxurious. It doesn't smell like anything. This is a current fave and it's not going anywhere. I really, really love it, and definitely deserves a special shout out in this video. This is actually the blush that I'm wearing today, and it's from Sisley. It's the Sisley blush, the Phyto-Blush Lumiere in shade number 3, Coral. And this is just the most gorgeous, punchy coral. This is the other fragranced blush in my collection. You don't smell it when you open the compact. Definitely less fragrance than Chanel blushes, for example, or the old Burberry blushes. Those are really fragranced too. This, you really have to kind of put your nose up really, really close to the powder to get the scent, but it has a very, very faint floral scent. Anyway, this blush is gorgeous. It's such an elegant, non-powdery powder blush. It has more of a satin matte finish, but it's not a dull matte finish. It's that modern matte type of finish that just, it doesn't look chalky. It still lets the natural luminosity of your skin shine through. It never feels patchy. It's really, really beautiful. And usually things that are this bright and this punchy can be a bit tricky to work with. Next is the Bare Minerals Blonzer in the shade Kiss of Copper. These are really beautiful. They definitely have the strongest shimmery finish out of all the blushes in my collection, and I particularly love using this blush formula in the fall, and I love applying them with a more dense blush brush and just stippling it on the cheek. I find that that's the way I get the most beautiful diffuse application. So this isn't like the most foolproof formula, but when I do apply it and I put a bit more thought into the way that that I apply it, the finish is so beautiful and intensely pigmented. So I have to be in the mood for a blush. The shade Kiss of Copper is such a great fall shade. This was the older packaging. This is like when they first launched, and then when they re-released them, I think last year, they came in just like the standard Bare Minerals black packaging. This is the Kiss of Rose blush. This is a bit less orangey than Kiss of Copper. Again, such a beautiful fall blush shade. So this is the NARS blush brush, and this is what I like to use with these. I get a nice even coat on the bristles. I tap off the excess, and then I just stamp the pigment on my cheeks, and that's kind of the best way that I found to apply these. I think from these I am keeping all of them, except maybe I'm going to put the Charlotte Tilbury Ecstasy on probation. I'm going to put it, you know, in my everyday makeup drawer, and I'm going to give myself some time with it in the next few weeks. Now it's time for the cream blush drawer. This is Tower 28 Magic Hour. This is such a favorite. It's one of my go-to neutral types of blushes. It's got like this beautiful pink undertone to it, and it works with everything. I love this blush. I also like to use it on the lips. This is Tower 28 Magic Hour, which I really loved when I first bought it, and I used it a lot. I haven't used it a lot lately, mostly because this fall and winter I've been more drawn to pinks than peaches. I'm going to play around with this and the Charlotte Tilbury Ecstasy blush and see if I can find a fun new combination. This is Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Color Melting Balm in the shade 20. I think it's called Cool Brown, and this is one of my favorite blushes that I own. I recently discovered it in the last year, and I'm obsessed with it. It is the perfect one and done color for my cheeks and for my eyes. It's like a cream to powder formula. It's not tacky, it's not dewy at all. It definitely has more of a matte finish on the skin. It's really balmy, easy to blend, and I can't get enough. This is a Make Beauty Heat Stroke blush stick. I think that's what it's called. The shade name is Toasted. And that in between blush and bronzer, I really enjoy this formula. It's dewy, it's sheer but buildable, but it lasts really nicely on the cheeks. It's a beautiful formula for fall and winter when I'm not so oily, and it just gives the most beautiful kind of glow from within, fresh look. But this color is just not it for me. If I'm in the mood for something warm, then I will just go in with like a straight up bronzer. So yeah, it's like not a bronzer, not a blush. I like it, but I don't love it. I just have stuff that I love more. So I think I can let this one go. This is the Merit Flush Balm in the shade Fox. This is one of the newer blushes that got added to my collection. Merit sent this over when they extended their blush range, and I'm very glad that they extended their blush range because I didn't love the original blush colors that they came out with. Fox is exactly the type of color that I'm drawn to. It's really, really beautiful. It's that gorgeous, slightly, slightly brown, slightly terracotta, slightly mauvey type of shade, and it's a great everyday blush color. It's, again, a sheer but buildable formula. It does have a luminosity to it, so this is more of like a fall winter blush for me. I've been actually loving this layered with the Chantecaille Joy Blush, and it just creates the most beautiful, intense but luminous blush combo that lasts all day. This is really pretty. So I would reach for a color like this, or the the Giorgio Armani Cool Brown over the Make Beauty Toasted. This is another Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Color Melting Balm. This one is in the shade 30. This is that perfect sunburnt kind of blush shade. It's like a more intense version of what I get when I use Hermes Rose Tan. This is Tower 28 Golden Hour, and this is a color that I bought a few years ago now because I had seen it on Alana Davison, and she was wearing this on her cheeks and on her lips, and these kinds of colors look really, really good on her. She really, really has this like really warm golden undertone to her skin, so these just complement that really beautifully. And on me, it just never looks that good. And I just rarely reach for this now, and I have a feeling that the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude kind of will replace this, because this kind of gives me that same effect, but it's not so orange. This is Make Beauty Scorched, and honestly, I am kind of torn in between keeping this and the Giorgio Armani. They're different. They don't do the same thing. I feel like Scorched for me is more of like a fall sunset type of shade, and the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude number 30 is more of that bronzy, sunburnt summer shade. Like this for sure, the Tower 28 Golden Hour is gonna go, because this is just too orange for me. This is Rose Inc Azalea, and I love this. This is one of my favorite blush colors that I like to use, especially in the winter. It's just this really gorgeous rosy shade, and I love the formula. I like wearing it on the lips, I like wearing it on the cheeks, and it's not going anywhere. This is refillable as well, which is nice. This is Make Beauty Slush, and this I've been using actually quite a lot, and I'm really enjoying this. I really like this, especially layered again with that Chantecaille Joy Blush. It's such a beautiful combination, and I've been having a moment with it. So this is definitely staying. It's a really nice pink color, and it has this beautiful dew from within, and I don't have to use a highlighter whenever I use this. It's really, really pretty. So this has definitely grown on me. Along the same lines is the Pearl Beauty blush stick in the shade Girl Next Door. Pearl Beauty is a beauty brand founded by a fellow creator here on YouTube. Her name is Alana Picurley. She's Canadian, but she lives in Northern Ireland, and this is one of her products, and I really love this. It's such a fun, bright pink. I really like this in the summertime. Again, this is like a spring, summer, sunny day. I feel happy to be alive, and I want that to be showing on my cheeks. I love this on cheeks and lips, and I really like it. This is like spring, summer. This is fall, winter. They're actually quite similar, but they're similar but different enough to warrant me owning both. Because like I said, I will talk myself in and out of everything. They're sisters. They're not twins. I really, really like these. Out of the creams, final inventory, definitely keeping Tower 28, Magic Hour, and Rush Hour. Definitely keeping the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude in shade number 20 and shade number 30. I am keeping Rose Inc Azalea, the Merit Blush Balm in Fox, the Girl Next Door from Pearl Beauty, the Slush from Make Beauty, and we are definitely letting go of Golden Hour, Tower 28. And we're also letting go of Make Beauty Toasted. I actually think both of these colors will just be better suited to somebody that has stronger golden undertones in their skin. And then I'm going to keep the Make Beauty Scorched, but I'm going to put it on probation. Those are all my blushes. If you've made it this far, thank you for hanging out. And if you want to convince yourself that you don't need any more blush, I highly recommend you do this. You know, take some time on the weekend if you have, 30 minutes or 45 minutes to yourself. Lay out all your blushes and swatch them all and kind of think about them. Do you love it? Are you going to keep it? Is it still serving you? Is it still something that you see yourself reaching for in the next year? Maybe do some decluttering. Maybe rekindle your love for a blush you haven't used in a long time. It's fun. Doing this always helps me not want to buy a new blush, for example. And right now, I noticed with a lot of the upcoming spring beauty launches, the brands are going to come hard for us by tempting us with blush. There's just going to be more and more blushes coming at us from every angle. And I think before you kind of decide if there are new blushes that you're considering adding to your life, before you decide, take stock of what you already have and see, are there any gaps? Is there something that you would want to try? Is there something that's gone bad that you're going to have to throw out? Is there something that you can pass on to a friend or a family member that is better suited for them? It's nice to kind of take inventory of what we have and ask ourselves these questions before we bring something new into our lives. I think if I didn't have this online beauty hobby, I would have a lot less. And I think that this is something that a lot of creators, I think, can relate to, because a lot of the times it is helpful for me to have a larger variety of blushes so that when there is a new blush that I'm trying out, I can give you comparison swatches and I can better guide you to make a shopping decision. So I kind of straddle both worlds, right? I'm a beauty creator, but I'm also just a regular consumer, and having too much stuff stresses me out. So I'm kind of like torn between both worlds, right? I'm getting a bit rambly. I hope you enjoyed this video. Highly encourage you to do your own little blush inventory. Let me know how it goes. Message me on Instagram. Tag me if you're doing this on Instagram. I would love to see your blush collection. Are you a minimalist? Do you just have a couple of blushes that you rotate between? Or are you like me and you're all about more is more and you'd like a blush wardrobe? Let me know. We're going to be chatting in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.